Hello, everybody. This is Greg from East West Draftcast. Welcome to Forcing the Issue. We're trying to draft an aggressive white red, white blue, white green, white something auras deck. And we do have a lot of options in this first pack. So this detention sphere is jumping out at me first. I'm probably just going to slam that, but let's talk about what else is in the pack. There is a Caracal here, which hopefully will wheel. There's a Knightly Valor. There's a Deviant Glee. There are a couple other dudes here. Frostburn, Weird, Stealer, Secrets, Armory Guard, Bizarre Crovod. The nice thing about this pick here is that I would take the Detention Sphere whether I was forcing or not, I think, out of this pack. The next best card is probably the Frostburn Weird. And I do think this card is better. And that's what we're going to take. And hopefully we'll pick up enough Ethereal Armors so that this being an enchantment will matter. Alright, second pick, we could go Soul Tithe, an enchantment. We could take this Void Wielder. There's just a 3-power dude for 3. There's Avenging Arrow, and then there's the new Prov Guild Mage. I think the pick comes down to Void Wielder or Guild Mage, and I think we could talk about Sentry or Soul Tithe if we wanted to go really deep, but at this point, if we just want to be an aura deck, like, either of these dudes is probably just as good as, like, this is a spell slash creature. This is an early drop that can wear creature enchantments and also give things flying and whatnot. I'm gonna start by saying I'm gonna take the Guild Mage, although just because this is a 5-drop, I don't know if that's necessarily something we want to be doing. The strike against Soul Tithe here is that we give our opponent the option of leaving it in play or not. So we may be thinking that it's going to be pumping up our, what do you want to call it, our ethereal armors and so forth. But if they just don't pay, that's one less pump on the ethereal armor. Anyway, next up, we could take some early green Beetle or Brush Strider. I don't really want to do that considering our first picks were both white-blue, so the pick comes down to Swift Justice or Void Wielder. I have a feeling we're going to be able to pick one of these up, so I'm going to take the Void Wielder now. This doesn't look much like a Forcing the Issue. It looks almost just like I'm drafting an Azorius deck, but we'll see what happens. Well, more Azorius cards, so there are 2 Hussar Patrols here. There's a Runewing, and there's a Sunspire Griffin. Good to note there's another Brush Strider here. I think we're in the right colors at the very least. Unfortunately, we're not really super aggressive with what we're taking here. So, I mean, the most aggressive card here is Sunspire Griffin. And we could take that over one of these Hussar Patrols. I mean, normally I don't know if that's a pick I would make. Well, let's cost sort. So we got a 2-drop, a 3-drop, and a 5-drop. Yeah, I mean, the Hussar Patrol wears enchantments just as well as anything else, being a vigilant dude. But we're forcing. Let's take the aggressive card. Okay, there's an ethereal armor. I think we're just going to slam that into the pile here. Important to note there's a teleportal and a common bond. Both of those are very strong cards. Like, if I were drafting for realsies, this teleportal would probably be my pick and I try to splash for it. But we'll make the bad pick, because that's what this segment is all about. Okay, I think Dramatic Rescue is the easy pick here over Rootborn Defenses and Skyline Predator. We don't really want a whole lot of 6-drops, whereas this can clear the way for our dudes, and it's also very good against us, so we'll take that. And, alright, so now I'm put to the test. Do I take a slow creature or a slow removal spell? And I think this, again, like, this is the correct pick, and this is the more aggressive pick, although it's not an especially aggressive card. I think I'm just going to take the removal spell. I think that helps our plan more, and here we go with an Armory Guard, the very next pick. Deviant Glee is kind of cool, but we're not going to get into black at this point. Alright, so we need to pick up a lot more early drops, and there's one. And I think I am going to take it over the Inspiration here. Again, not the correct pick, but the pick that we're making for this deck. We might not end up playing this Tristani's Judgment, or the Armory Guard for that matter, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so here the pick comes down to Dispel or Selesnya Sentry, and we're just going to take the creature, although I wouldn't mind picking up a Dispel at some point. We're kind of lacking on creatures at this point. I mean, we've taken a lot of creatures. The only non-creature spells we've taken have been the 1 Armor, Dramatic Rescue, Sphere, and Tristani's Judgment. But, again, I'm not super excited to play this 4-mana 2/5 in my aggressive deck, and even Void Wielder is... and Tristani's Judgment, for that matter, both a little suspect. I'm happy to play them in general, but I want to really overload the deck at the 1, 2, 3 spots and just try to bash face as much as possible. Alright, so here we're looking at Sundering Growth for the board, or a Brush Strider Hate Draft, I guess. I guess Drew's Deliverance counts too. We're just going to take the sideboard card. And we will hide that, because that's not making the main deck. Alright, wow, man. Green is flowing. Again, there's no real reason for us to be hate drafting unless we want to completely abandon blue, and I don't want to do that when there's a blue card that I will play right here. Next up, we'll take this Druid's Deliverance and an Urban Burgeoning, and close things out in the pack with the Plains. And see what Pack 2 has to offer. This is actually not a bad start in general, just for any deck. We made a couple of bad picks with the Ethereal Armor and the Trained Caracal, but I think that's okay. Here we're looking at a Amizian Mortars, which, Jesus, what a great card. We could also take this Justiciar, the Sky Knight. I think both of these definitely outclass Tower Drake, Paralyzing Grasp, Avenging Arrow. I'm thinking about taking the Mortars. This card is such a blowout. It's so good. And it would put us back in the kind of white-red plan. We'd be throwing away at least 3 of these picks, probably. And we'd have to, like, try to get some mana fixing to make the blue cards worth playing. Yeah. Oh, God. Passing this card? I hate that. Whatever. We're forcing the issue. Let's stay on target. I'll take the Sky Knight. And, of course, there's a Blood Fray Giant. But the pick for us here is copy number 2 of Ethereal Armor. We really need to start getting more 1 and 2 drops, and that is something we're going to prioritize over the next few picks. And we might have to do it right now by taking this Keening Apparition over an Azorius Justiciar. Although I might get greedy and just slam the Justiciar. I mean, we're kind of light at the 4 drop spot anyway. And I think, well, yeah, I mean, this is pretty good for what the deck's trying to do anyway. We might just need the cheap guy, though. Now we'll take the Justiciar and hope we can get some 2s later, like this one. Alright, we'll take the Arrestor. Not passing a whole lot of great stuff, and it's good to see that some white and blue cards are flowing back at us after Pack 1. Hopefully we might have put all those people into white-green, considering what we shipped them. Or black-green, hopefully. And, ooh, maybe they aren't in white-green, because that's a late call to Conclave. But the Apparition is the pick for us here. I don't really think there's a whole lot else to discuss. The best 2 cards in the pack are the Call to the Conclave and Centaur Healer. But we're not taking either of those, so we'll just take the Apparition. This deck's coming together. We have a plan. We passed Amizian Mortars. It only feels a little bit dirty. Man, more and more am I glad I didn't take that Keening Apparition over this Justiciar earlier. So with that said, we have a choice to make here. We can take Hussar Patrol or another Keening Apparition. The Hussar Patrol is definitely the better card. Keening Apparition plays better with the whole idea of being aggressive. That's a tough one. There's also this guild gate here, which leads me to believe we could have tried to splash red if we wanted to. Although we might have had to take this apparition anyway. I'm going to take this Hussar Patrol this time. I think we'll be able to get some cheap guys, like Trained Caracal and Seller of Songbirds. And Doorkeeper, although Doorkeeper is not what we want to do. Okay, so this is kind of a weird one. Would we rather have Seller, which is 2 dudes for 1 card, or just the 1 drop? We currently have 2 Ethereal Armor and a Detention Sphere as far as our enchantments go. We have Sign Judgment that can populate, and that appears to be about it. We're gonna go all in. Double Caracal. Okay, here's another 3-drop for us. I'm sure I'd rather have this than the downsize. The cancel is tempting, but I think we just want more dudes if we're going to try and play so many creature enchantments. Wow, that's a pretty late Slum Reaper, and a late Centaur Healer for that matter. But we're going to take Avenging Arrow. And here are some enchantments. We're going to take the Paralyzing Grasp. I actually think Soul Tithe is probably a little bit better than Paralyzing Grasp. But again, this is more likely to stay on the board and pump up our Ethereal Armors. So we're going to take that. And we'll take a Skywatch, although a 6-drop is not really what we want. I guess we'll take another Dispel. I mean, we could Hate Draft or Rhino. How good is Rhino against us? Yeah, it's not bad, but now we'll take the card that we might play. Take Foil Plains, sweet. Ah, that's an enchantment. Make mine the Chronic.